다크의 반대말은 무엇일까? 라이트이다. 빛이 많아지면 라이트이고 빛이 없어지면 다크이다. 어떤 색상이든 빛을 완전히 제거하면 모두 블랙이 된다. 이처럼 모든 현상에는 밝은 면과 어두운 면이 공존한다. 다크투어는 어둠 속의 대화 공간처럼 칠흑같이 어두운 곳을 불편하게 돌아다니는 것일까? 햇빛이 미치지 않는 캄캄한 동굴 속살을 구경 가는 것도, 어두운 밤에 위험하게 걷는 야행도 다크투어라 할 수 있다. 하지만 내가 말하는 다크투어는 그것이 아니다. 우리 인간이 과거에 저지른 나쁜 악행이 벌어졌던 곳을 직접 찾아가 보고 우리 스스로 반성하는 그런 여행이다. 시간을 거슬러 올라가 어두운 역사를 반면교사 삼아 뼈저린 교훈을 배우는 여행이다. 다크투어는 인간이 저지른 어두운 현장을 찾아가 오늘의 되살려보는 시공간 여행이다.
Today's destination is Seoul, 종로. Ghost sightseeing make us shudder, even back then and now. Of course, not everyone in the world can see the ghost, so the sightseeings attract many people. Some of sightseeings have been handed down to date as legend and urban myths. Hi there! Today we're gonna visit a downtown area in Central Seoul where we never expected. So our first place to visit is the Gwanghwamun Bigak, the monument the 40th anniversary of King Gojong's enthronement in Seoul. Historic site number 171. In the past, a small pavilion stands at the Gwanghwamun intersection in front of Gyeongbok Palace, the royal palace in Hanyang, the capital of Joseon. The streets are always full of busy people, so when you ask passersby about this pavilion, few people know it in detail. The monument was erected inside the pavilion to commemorate the 40th anniversary of King Gojong's ascension to the throne of the 26th king of Joseon dynasty and the first emperor of Korean Empire, and to commemorate his entry into the Giroso at the age of 51. Here, Giroso is a government office that used to serve as an example of a route to honor a senior official of more than 70 years old. And inside the right stone pillar on the south side of the pavilion, there is a stone sign that says starting point of milepost, which is the standard point for measuring the distance between regions across the country. But now, we don't use it anymore. On the back straight up pavilion, up to until 100 years ago, there was a punishment, penhyung, for boiling and killing people. Among the death penalty of Joseon, there was a something called it penhyung. Penhyung is a punishment that used to boil and kill corrupt officials that coveted the wealth of the country or people in culture. That doesn't really mean you boil people in boiling water. It's an honorary penalty that is treated as a dead person from the moment prisoner put the body in and out of lukewarm pot. So this place, you can see a prisoner with a wreath around his neck asking for help on a rainy day. Speaking of ghosts, there are several representative kind of ghosts in our country. Bachelor ghost. It called it 몽달 귀신 or 총각 귀신 in Korean. A ghost who died of love sickness or couldn't get married. Maiden ghost. It called it 처녀귀신 or 손말명 in Korean. It's the most famous ghost in Korea, and it has a resentment that a maiden with a marriageable age died without marriage. Water ghost. It's usually said that a person who drowned in the water becomes a ghost and stay in the water and pulls another person to drown. During the Joseon dynasty, there were many other types of death penalty other than 팽연. 1. Poison. 2. The quarreling. 3. Hanging. 4. Decapitation. 5. The posthumous execution, digging one's corpse and beheaded. Among them, the defecation supposed to have executioner by the name of 회자수 in the country, 도탄 in the province, and 행영쇠장 of Hanyang in the exact name of these executioners. 행영쇠장 was affiliated to the 전옥서 prison, so they were in charge of slicing the heads of those who were sentenced to death. From the time of King Sukjong's reign, the executioner was officially selected from among the condemned criminals. When they were finally selected, they were able to escape the fear of their own death, but they had to continue the role until they died. The 광화문 비각 and 세종대로 intersection are only a few meters away. Uniquely, there are 100 instances of car accidents every year, only in the east-west, and about 20% of casualties. Based on Gyeongbok Palace, there's no problem in the north-south direction, which is the 세종대로 intersection from Gyeongbok Palace. But why are so many accidents happening in the east-west and the ghost witnessed? That was because there is a hidden story at the site of 광화문 비각, 세종대로 intersection, 종각 station, exit number 1 and 6, and 종로 3가 station. These were the site of left-right 포도청, 의금부, and 전옥서 during the Joseon dynasty. Put it simply, it was called left 포도청 on the left and right 포도청 on the right, based on the direction of the Changdeok Palace where the king located. The left and right 포도청s were like a national police agency, which was in charge of general security and patrol in the Joseon dynasty. The 의금부 was a law enforcement agency during the Joseon dynasty that was responsible for the serious crimes of high-ranking officials, especially interrogated, balanced by order of king. And in front of the right 포도청, east of the present 광화문 post office, there was a Haejong Bridge where the public execution conducted of corrupt officials. During the Joseon dynasty, 전옥서, near exit number 6 of 종각 station, was a representative prison set up in current Seoul, Hanyang. In addition to 전옥서, there were small prisons inside the 의금부 and left and right 포도청s where prisoners were imprisoned and interrogated, executed. In the late Joseon dynasty, many Catholics were interrogated, detained, and martyred at these government offices during the persecution of Catholics. As I said, many people have died in prison during the Joseon dynasty. The prison is not the kind of prison we know. Today, the imprisonment facility is called 감옥, but this term is modern and Joseon dynasty called it 옥. And there was no prison sentence like now. Therefore, during the Joseon dynasty, 옥 was the place where determined prisoners were imprisoned. So according to the historical records, prisoners have to wait until their sentences are confirmed in prison, usually 1 year at a short time or 30 years at a long time. How hell the prison was during the Joseon dynasty, 다산 정약용 called it 옥, a hell that exists in this world. And Bishop Riddell, a Frenchman who spent a time in prison of Hanyang's 포도청 in the late Joseon dynasty, also recorded that 포도청's prison was the most brutal form of hell unearthed based on his experience. 다산 정약용 introduced the 5 hardships of prison life in his book 목민심서. 1. The pain caused by tool of prison. Among the various tools of the prison, the cowl is a frame made of a 172 centimeters long rectangular wood hanging around the sinner's neck. This also weighted differently depending on the seriousness of crime. Records show that the cowl weighs around 10 kilograms. This was usually put on only by felons. And women were not allowed to do that. Even death row inmates, in principle. 경국 대전. However, there was a considerable abuse of authority back then. 2. The pain of disease. 3. The pain of being cold and hungry. 4. The pain of being locked up for a long time. 5. The pain of being embezzled. In other words, harassment, the process of being extorted by senior prisoners and jailer in prison. Accordingly, Gwanghwamun and Jongno areas where countless people died for at least 500 years before the Kabul reform in 1894. So I don't think it's groundless to say that you've seen a lot of ghosts around here at all. In fact, there was a shaman on TV, and tens of millions of ghosts were found in an intersection of Sejongdaero, and a lot of numbers of souls were said to be gathered like a pillar about 3 meters high. And it would be the souls of numerous people who died here in that era. May their souls rest in peace. That's all from us today. I'm Heather. Camera is full of Dakttuor. Thank you.